Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Monet and you're watching Life is Monet. Today we're going to pick my October TBR. I am incredibly nervous because last month was my first month touching my TBR jar in like 4 months, and it did me very dirty. It did me incredibly dirty. And to be honest with you, this video is going to make or break this TBR prompt jar, because if it does me like that again, I'm gonna have to reconsider. I truly am. It might just be time for me to take back control, but I will say that having the prompt jar throughout this year has definitely kept my reading taste versatile and broad, and it has made me pick up books that I probably would have not picked up, or I would have continued to put off for as long as I could. And one of my primary goals for this year was to cut down on my unread TBR, and I haven't given an update in a while, but guys, I have made great progress towards cutting down my unread TBR in combination with the prompt jar and my book buying restriction, and just limiting the amount of unread books I bring into my house has really been very helpful. And at this time, my unread TBR is less than my read TBR. Now, of course, that's going to change because I have some books that I have read that I want to do an unhaul for, and I'll be filming that video, of course. And so when I unhaul a significant amount of the books that I have read, of course, my unread TBR will be more, but it is still much less than where it was when I started this year, and I'm very proud of myself, and I am looking forward to finishing off the year strong. In the month of October, I expect to be very, very busy, and so I'm only limiting myself to 5 books, and so in this video we'll be pulling 5 prompts from my TBR prompt jar. Going in for the first pull, God, I feel like I should have a little drum roll sound effect because I'm very nervous. I feel like my heart's beating fast. A book with an atmospheric setting. Okay, that's not bad. A book with an atmospheric setting. Let's look. For this prompt, I'm going to go with One by One by Ruth Ware. I've heard very positive reviews about this book, and I actually bought it because a friend of mine, Chanel, told me to buy it when I was at Half Price Books. I think I grabbed it for like $8, and she was like, that's a book that you're really going to enjoy. And me and Chanel always read mystery thrillers together, and so if she says that I may potentially like a book, I feel more comfortable taking a risk and buying it, especially when it's less than $10 for a nearly new hardcover. This is going to be atmospheric because I believe that we are set in a ski cabin or ski resort that has been snowed in, or our main characters are snowed in, and so yeah, definitely fits the atmospheric prompt. I'm satisfied with that pull because I feel like that book would have continued to sit on my shelf unread if I had not pulled that prompt. So prompt number 2, a book with purple on the cover. For that prompt, I'm gonna go with Bola. I'm actually very excited for this book. It's a historical fiction set during the time period of the Kosovo genocide and the ethnic cleansing that happened in Yugoslavia. I believe that we're following 2 queer characters. The synopsis of this one says that in April of 1995, Arsim is a 24-year-old recently married student at the University of Pristina in Kosovo, keeping his head down to gain a university degree in a time and place deeply hostile to Albanians. In a cafe, he meets a young man named Milos, who is a Serb. Before the day is out and everything has changed for both of them, and within a week, 2 milestones erupt in Arsim's married life. His wife announces her first pregnancy, and he begins a life in secret. After these fevered beginnings, Arsim and Milo's unlikely affair is derailed by the outbreak of war, which sends Arsim's fledgling family abroad and timid Milo's spiraling down a dark path as depicted through the chaotic journal entries. Years later, deported back to Pristina after a spell in prison and now alone and hopeless, Arsim finds himself in a broken reality that makes him completely question his past. What happened to him To them, exactly. How can you endure and forgive? Entwined in their story is a recreated legend of a demonic serpent Bola. It is an unearthly tale that gives Arsum and Milos a language through which to reflect on what they once had. With a luminous prose and a delicate eye, the author delivers a relentless novel of desire, destruction, intimacy, and the different fronts of war. It looks like the author Pajtim was actually born in Kosovo to Albanian parents in 1990, and his family had to flee the Yugoslavic wars and move to Finland when he was just 2 years old. So this is definitely going to be an own voices perspective from someone whose family was directly affected by the genocide that happened in Kosovo, and it is one that is not necessarily talked about in the modern day, but it has many implications to how we deal with ethnic cleansing and genocides today. And if you guys don't know about that genocide, I highly recommend that you look it up and do some research about it. But I am very much looking forward to exploring that, experiencing the culture and the tradition and learning about this mythological element to the story, and also undercover queer man and how he's going to balance his secret life with his quest to live in his true reality. So far so good. That is another book that probably would have continued to sit on my shelf without me pulling this prompt. So I'm feeling pretty okay right now. I don't want to get too excited because I feel like the jar is definitely going to shoot me back down quickly. Prompt number 3, a book you own that's signed by the author. For that prompt, I'm going to go with The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I know absolutely nothing about this book. I just got it in my Fairy Loot subscription. I have no idea what to expect, but it was signed by the author. Maybe I should read the synopsis because like I got this in the mail. I looked at it and then I packed it back up and never opened it again. Hart is a marshal tasked with patrolling the magical wilds of Tanria. It's an unforgiving job and Hart's got nothing but time to ponder his loneliness. Mercy never has a moment to herself. She's been single-handedly keeping Birdsall and Son Undertakers afloat in defiance of sullen jerks like Hart, who seemed to have a gift for showing up right when her patience is thinnest. After yet another exasperating run-in with Mercy, Hart finds himself penning a letter addressed simply to a friend. Much to his surprise, an anonymous letter comes back in return, and a tentative friendship is born. If only Hart knew he's been bearing his soul to the person who infuriates him the most, Mercy. As the dangers from Tanria grow closer, so do the unlikely pen pals. But can their blossoming romance survive the fated discovery that their correspondents are their worst nightmares, each other? Guess it's going to be a hate to love romance. It seems like it's set in an alternative world, so it might also be a fantasy. Could contain some magical elements. I'm gonna go ahead and call this a potential fantasy romance, but I knew nothing about this book until I literally just read that synopsis, so this will be a very interesting read. I'm not mad about that pull because I honestly forgot I owned that book. I could not even tell you what month it was mailed to me or how long it's been sitting up there. Pull number 3, a book that fits the current season. So it is fall, and fall makes me think of things that are supernatural. So I'm going to look for something like that. Urban fantasy. So last fall, I got into my paranormal romance bag and I was having the time of my life, and the season just changed, and the books that I was so excited to read, I put them off until this fall, and I was just like, I'll come back to them next year because I just wanted to just keep that synchronicity with the seasons and the books that I was reading. And so that prompt is just like speaking to my soul right now because I am going to go back to the Dark Fever series by Karen Marie Moning. I am now on book 8. And that is going to be Feverborn. I have not seen any of my lovely characters in an entire year, and it just brings me joy to just know that I'm going back to this series. Even if I don't enjoy it, I think I'll still be fine because I've read 7 books in this series so far. Clearly I enjoy what the author is doing with the story, and one of the books I absolutely positively hated it. I would have set it on fire if I could have, and I still continue to read the rest of the series. So as long as it's not worse than that book, I think I'll be in the clear. If you haven't heard of this series, the first book is called Fae Fever, I think. What is it called? The first book is called Dark Fever. In that book, we follow a main character named Mac, who is this southern Georgia girl that is just going about her life, not really having a care in the world. Her sister moved to Dublin, Ireland to go to school for college, and one day her sister just comes up murdered, and Mac is just consumed with wanting to know what happened to her sister, and so she leaves Georgia and flies all the way to Dublin, Ireland to determine what was the cause of her sister's death. As she starts to investigate this murder, paranormal activity is going on, and she gets swept into this underworld, and she discovers some secrets in her family that she did not know about herself, and she continues on a quest for revenge at this point to get even with her sister's murderer, and the story just kind of unravels from there. I believe that there's 12 or 13 books in the series, and I am now on book 8. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, we have 4 out of 5, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm looking forward to all of these books, actually. So, last pull. Read a book that has been adapted. What's been adapted? For that book, I'm going to go with a graphic novel, and that is going to be volume 2 for Heartstopper. I believe earlier this year, Heartstopper was released on Netflix, and I've heard really great things about the show, but I have not been able to watch the show because I have not been able to finish the graphic novels. I own 4 volumes of the graphic novels, and it is time for me to finish them so that I can actually watch the TV show. And so we have now fit in a graphic novel, and I'm really proud of our selections this month. We have a secluded, snowed-in murder mystery thriller. We have a fantasy romance that is hate to love. We have a paranormal romance going all the way back to the early 2000s that I'm really looking forward to. We have a male-male romance in graphic novel form, and then we also have a male-male romance in a historical fiction form, and this is incredibly diverse. I'm excited to read these, and you know what? I think the jar just redeemed itself. It can officially stay around. But I'm not going to forget how it did me last month, because I did not have fun. Thank you guys for watching my video, and I will see you next time.